We ate at a restaurant that never closed our tab. We were job hunting then, the kind that drains you quietly, not with rejection but with possibility. Two interviews scheduled too close together, both of them running long in that way that makes you hopeful and embarrassed at the same time, like maybe this is it, maybe this is the break. Maybe you'll finally be able to stop rehearsing answers in the mirror. By the time we stepped back onto the street, dusk had settled in without asking permission, that bruised hour when the city feels tired and impatient. We hadn't eaten since morning. We hadn't planned to. Lunch had been something we'd meant to circle back to after the interviews, but time had slipped, and now hunger had sharpened into something physical, insistent. Her name is Clara. She was choir girl nice back then, meek in a way people mistake for goodness, soft-spoken to the point of invisibility. The interview hadn't gone well. They told her she was lovely, that she had potential, that she should work on projecting confidence, which is how people say too gentle, too yielding, too easy to overlook. She nodded, smiled, thanked them, carried the rejection like it was something she was supposed to be grateful for. I watched her shoulders fold inward as we walked, watched her make herself smaller out of habit. I was different, but not stronger. I wasn't hungry in the way Clara was. I didn't ache for the job or the future or anything in particular. I felt muted, dulled, like someone who had already accepted that wanting things was optional. Lust for life felt like a personality trait I'd missed out on. Hunger to me was theoretical, something other people complained about. We kept walking because walking was free. That's when we saw the pasta place. It didn't look like it belonged there, a narrow facade wedged between buildings I no longer remember clearly, as if the street itself has been edited since. The windows glowed deep red and black, not neon, not modern, but saturated, deliberate, like the inside of a chapel prepared for a funeral. Gold accents caught the last of the daylight, plated everything from the door handles to the trim, excessive without being vulgar, ceremonial rather than indulgent. It felt expensive, but not in a way that invited scrutiny. It felt inevitable. We stood there longer than necessary, doing the math in our heads, and then Clara laughed, sharp and defiant, the way she used to when she wanted to pretend fear was a joke. "Let's just eat," she said. "We'll figure it out." Inside, it was spectacular and wrong. There were only one or two waiters, moving quietly, efficiently, their faces so indistinct that even now I couldn't describe them if I tried. Not frightening, just forgettable, like mannequins that had learned how to walk. Their voices were low and distant, drowned out by the sound of our own hunger, by the way our bodies had begun insisting on being noticed. There was no music, only the soft clink of cutlery and the hum of the room itself, like it was breathing. There were no menus. A man behind the counter asked us if we were hungry, really hungry, and when Clara nodded immediately and I hesitated, he smiled as if the distinction didn't matter. Bread came first, warm enough that steam rose when we tore it apart, and a single pasta to share. Water appeared without asking. Wine was offered once carefully, like a test. We refused, both of us suddenly serious about that decision, as if saying yes would tip something we couldn't name. The pasta was extraordinary. Not ornate, not drowning in excess, but perfectly balanced, rich and grounding and indulgent in a way that felt intentional. Clara ate like someone being restored, her posture straightening, her voice gaining strength with each bite. I ate like someone waking up, like something dormant inside me had finally been addressed. Outside it was still dusk, almost night, but not quite, the world suspended in decision. Inside, time felt irrelevant. No one else came in, no one rushed us. When we finished, the plates were cleared without a word, and the bill, when it arrived, was manageable. Suspiciously so. We paid in cash, counted coins, laughed in relief. We left full and light, like something had been reset. After that, things changed. For Clara, it was pride that surfaced, slow and steady. She stopped accepting crumbs. She learned how to project, how to demand, how to take up space without apology. She didn't get the job she interviewed for, but she got others, better ones, and eventually she married a man with money and influence and rooms full of light. Fame brushed her life, fortune followed. She became someone who knew her worth and never doubted it again. For me, the change was uglier. I became hungry, not just for food, but for sensation, attention, bodies, experience. I feasted on men and women and nights that blurred together, on vices that glittered just long enough to feel worth the cost. I collected beautiful things, indulgences, always chasing that fullness I'd felt at the table, always convinced the next bite would be the one that finally satisfied me. We drifted apart as people do, slowly enough that it felt natural. Different circles, different currencies. When we did meet again years later, it was careful and affectionate, and without fail, we talked about the pasta place. Same red and black, same gold, same taste, no one else remembered it. Clara tried to find it properly. By then, she had the kind of money that turns curiosity into entitlement. She wanted to buy it, restore it, make it hers. Every lead collapsed. Every address led somewhere else. The last time we thought we had it pinned down, we stood in front of an abandoned warehouse. Rusted doors chained shut, windows black and empty. No sign it had ever been anything but forgotten. And then things began to rot. Clara called me years later and asked to meet. Her husband had been arrested, embezzlement, fraud, crimes that start small and justify themselves until they become impossible to defend. She spoke carefully, but the story kept slipping, how she had pushed him, demanded more, stopped seeing restraint as virtue. Pride had grown teeth. I didn't tell her right away about my own life, about the weight that had settled in and refused to leave, about the STD that doctors called manageable and incurable in the same breath, about how hunger had become a condition instead of a metaphor. She looked at me and nodded anyway. "I know," she said, "I can see it." That's when she said it quietly. I think something followed us out of that restaurant. I found the receipt a week later, folded neatly inside a coat pocket I hadn't touched in years. Thick paper, no logo, no date. Bread, complimentary pasta, shared, market price balance. Pending the receipt is on my kitchen counter now. I've tried throwing it away, it comes back. The ink doesn't change, but sometimes I swear the numbers shift, recalculating. I don't think we were fed, I think we were sorted, and I don't think the transaction ever closed. Because whatever we took from that place all those years ago has been collecting interest, patiently, quietly, waiting for the moment when we finally understand what it cost. And lately the hunger feels different, sharper, as if something is ready to collect.